Child-Focused Community Transformation Program is our central program here in Bolivia that we use to teach churches, leaders and families about biblical principles and values, which we believe is the central part of helping them break out of poverty.
The Child-Focused Community Transformation Program seeks to educate and equip families, leaders and churches to enable them to discover their potential.
I hope you got it saved. It's been so long, I don't know what to say. I traveled round the deserts on my head.
I'm Caroline and I'm from England, where I studied marketing, and I've been working with Food for the Hungry in Bolivia since 2006.
My name is Ed Moulding, and with my family I've been here for 4.5 years in Bolivia. At present I have 2 roles. One is the assistant to the country director, and the other role is the coordinator for the expatriate staff that work with FH Bolivia. To come and work for FH, we had a period of selection which went through an application process, a personal interview and then orientation, which was done in the UK and then on the field to learn about what we are doing in Bolivia and to learn the language and culture.
Okay, we came to Bolivia partly because of my calling on my heart to come and work back in South America, and as a result of that we came in contact with FH, Food for the Hungry, and were accepted by them to come and work in Bolivia.
Nosotros consideramos que mientras trabajamos sirviendo a las comunidades más vulnerables en Bolivia, estamos siendo transformados. Al mismo tiempo que estamos siendo transformados, también el personal internacional está siendo transformado.
In my experience in Bolivia, one of the biggest ways I've experienced transformation is to learn more about seeking God and His ideas rather than running ahead with my own ideas, because not knowing the culture and the language, it's harder to know what to do. So I've had to come to God and ask Him and do what He's made clear to me to do.
We have learned in our time here that it's not about expatriate staff coming into a culture with all of the right answers. We don't have the right answers, and our culture doesn't have all the right answers. It's about coming in with an attitude of service and an attitude to learn and grow. We came to Bolivia to share ideas. We also received new ideas, and that created mutual transformation, with us learning new things and growing, and the national staff and the communities learning new things and growing.
Esta transformación mutua se trata de cambiar, de transformar la historia de todos quienes estamos involucrados en este proceso de desarrollo y de transformación en Bolivia.
To begin with, arriving in Bolivia, it was really hard, starting from zero, really just being like a baby, not being able to speak, not knowing where to go, not being able to make friends very easily because of not being able to talk or understand people.
For me, living in Bolivia, one of the hardest things has been the language. I always thought I could never learn a language, so I didn't know why God would call me to Bolivia. I thought it wasn't right because He knows I can't learn Spanish, but here I am. And so it's been one of the things I've had to overcome it in my mind and learn the language to speak it and understand it. Pero ahora ya yo hablo muy bien el español.
Bolivia is just one of many countries in which Food for the Hungry is working. And for this, as an organisation, English is our main language, but many countries do not have that as their first language. So part of my work is to do translations between English and Spanish, or Spanish and English, so that we can share our success stories with the rest of the organisation, or I can translate important information from our head office about what we need to do to move us in the same direction as one body. When we came to Bolivia, it was to make maps that would help present the work that we were doing, and also to help to visualize reports instead of it just being in a table. This was a good start for us, which then developed into other areas.
When I first came to Bolivia, I started translating children's letters for their sponsors, and from that I saw how we could develop the idea of community sponsorship, where people in England could sponsor a community rather than just one child. After developing the idea of sponsoring a community, we then had to prepare the project in a community to sponsor, which is in Puerto Camacho in El Alto in Bolivia. In the project we have 100 children who are learning more about who God has made them to be. They're discovering biblical principles and applying them in their lives. For example, that they're created in the image of God and they're special and unique. So they have to look after what God has given us, for example our bodies, meaning we have to wash our hands and brush our teeth. So we're seeing that these children are learning these things but having the habits in their home.
Yo quiero ser una doctora. Cuando sea grande, yo quiero ser un empresario.
The other thing I've been working on in Bolivia is to set up a department to teach Bolivians about giving and to encourage them to support food for the hungry and help the poor within their own country rather than just depending on outside support.
Es importante el apoyo que nosotros recibimos del personal internacional en FH Bolivia, porque traen primero una nueva perspectiva, una diferente perspectiva acerca de la vida. Segundo, ellos traen mucho amor, mucho espíritu de servicio para con nosotros, las personas que trabajamos en FH.
Having helped to set up the system and the foundations to teach Bolivians about giving, I'm now happy to leave that in the hands of my Bolivian colleagues, who I believe are the best people to be teaching Bolivians about giving. And about 5 years ago, I believe God said to me that when Bolivians learn to give, that He'll open the floodgates of heaven over Bolivia, not just financially, but spiritually, socially, emotionally. And so even though God's calling me away from Bolivia now, I'm looking forward to seeing that day when those things come to pass.
Su apoyo a nosotros como FH Bolivia es de vital importancia.